Good evening. You were listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88 Dean Radio. I'm your host, Adam Wright, along with co-host Justin Tucker. Now, we will get to your player rankings in just a few moments. As always, we're going to go into our NFL updates of all the current events going on around the league. We're going to do defensive ends for our player countdowns this week. And so this will actually be the last week we do of defense, and then we're going to go into some of the good stuff, some of the offense. So it'll be tight ends, running backs, receivers, and then we're going to finish with quarterbacks. And I believe the week after that we're going to do some predictions for the season, some team predictions, and ultimately some Super Bowl predictions. So we have a very fun summer planned out for you guys. I told you guys I'll hook you guys up. We're going to have some stuff going. But anyways, on to some of the headlines, all the stuff going on around the league. Starting with Raiders defensive lineman Carl Nassib, or Nassib. I'm not sure how Nassib. I'm not sure how, but he came out as gay, and he actually happens to be the first NFL player in the history of the league to come out as gay. So good for him. The Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark was arrested for suspicion of possession of a concealed gun. So an interesting detail to this is that it actually is rumored to be a machine gun. So we'll get to that in a second. But Vikings rookie Jalen Twyman, he was shot 4 times in Washington, D.C. He's expected to make a full recovery. He was visiting family in the area when he was shot while in his car. So thank God he's making a full recovery, and thoughts and prayers out to his family as he goes through the recovery process. But Justin, do you have any thoughts here about all these headlines here?
When I first saw these headlines, I was like, wow, this was a crazy week in the NFL. It's not like in like team changing like headlines, but it's like outside of the league. These are some crazy headlines I read. And then when you realize they happen like a few days between each other, it's like, huh? What is going on in the league right now? So when I saw that, I was like, Frank Clark, how did you catch yourself with that machine gun? How did the police get you with that?
And then one player comes out as gay. Another player is shot 4 times. I mean, all of this happening within a half hour span. It was just I don't want to say incredible because one guy was shot and another was arrested, but it was just a crazy half hour from, I believe it was yesterday. This episode's being recorded on a Tuesday on the 22nd. So it was yesterday, Monday the 21st of June. Basically last night, where just all of this happened. It was just unbelievable stuff to happen. As for Frank Clark, I just don't understand. We could talk all we want about gun rights and everything. What do we need what does he need a machine gun for? I'm just genuinely curious. What does he need it like?
I keep on telling you it's for protection. He's just using.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Yeah. If you have that Second Amendment right, you are protected to use it.
I'm all for the Second Amendment, and like I'm all for if he feels the need to have a machine gun. My question is like why? It's just kind of fun. Like what's he using it for?
The same reason anybody else will buy an assault rifle or a handgun, for protection.
Yeah, definitely.
I would rather not you get caught with it. You're a player making millions of dollars. I'd rather you not get caught with that thing on you. But at the same time, it is what it is now. So hopefully he doesn't get charged with anything too serious, and he can play the season, all 16 games or 17 games. Hopefully, can't get used to that. But all in all, I believe 1 positive and 2 negatives. Congratulations for Carl Nassib for coming out as gay. I know this wasn't an easy decision for him to do, but I hope he feels welcomed and approached with open arms by not only his teammates, but the whole NFL community. I think it'll just take an adjustment getting used to, but I believe it'll be a welcome change for him.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad he feels comfortable to come out. I hope given that we are in the year 2021 and not in the year 1960 or 1970, where in the 60s or 70s, where things are just, the world is kind of homophobic, we're racist a little bit. So I would hope that people would feel comfortable, and I hope it gets to a point where where people aren't recognizing acts like this as just being brave, as like, oh, this person has balls, and rather like, oh, it's just like, it's at the end of the day, it's a sexual preference, and I want people to feel comfortable about their sexual orientation, and to be able to come out without things being a huge deal about it, because we're just getting to a point. Our society is progressing, and things are getting better. And I hope we continue to progress to the point where people like this can continue to come out. And I encourage people, not just around in sports leagues, but everywhere, to be able to just be comfortable with this to the point where it's just not even a big deal, where it's not like, oh, this person's brave. It's, oh, well, oh, he's gay. That's cool. It's just not, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? It's just a sexual preference.
You just hope this is going in the right direction.
Of course, absolutely. So I'm glad he feels comfortable. Anyways, you ready for our final week of defensive rankings with defensive ends? This is going to be a fun one. I actually had a lot of fun working on this this morning and yesterday. I have some good rankings going. I think you're going to like it. And
we still don't know.
I'm actually curious to see. We still don't know. I'm glad we made this adjustment so that our top 10 comes as a surprise to each other, so we could just bash each other for each other's opinions. Because it feels like when we were ranking before, we were kind of putting them together, our rankings together, and most of our debates came off camera
during that.
And it was like it was anticlimactic. Now this is gonna be fun.
All right, let's hear this.
All right. So coming up, it's same as usual. We have 10 through 6. So the bottom. So we split into 5. So 10 through 6 first, and then we go into the top 5, the best of the best defensive ends in the entire National Football League. So this is going to be fun. So stay tuned. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast. All right, let's begin. Let's get started. All right, so starting from 10 through 6 and then 5 through 1, of course. Justin, give me your number 10 defensive end in the entire National Football League.
You mean pass rusher?
Pass rusher. It's a very vague term, but we'll roll with that. Yeah.
All right, my number 10 pass rusher is Brian Burns, outside linebacker, or DN, whatever you want to call him, from Carolina Panthers. I believe he'll take a major step in the right direction this year. He has all the tools you would like in an edge rusher. He's long, fast, and can get off the ball pretty quickly. And I believe in time, he will become one of the top 5 players in the league. Just not there yet, but I believe with that front 7 in Carolina, I believe he'll contribute and be a major reason why they'll be more successful on defense.
That's an interesting one. Mine is who I have at number 10 is Shaquille Barrett. Barrett was a guy he got 8 sacks last year. He had a good season, the whole 9 yards. What I'm looking at is the season prior, his first year as a Buccaneer, where he really popped off. He got about 19 and a half sacks.
Yes, sir.
And he racked up. I have the statistics right here. He racked up 58 combined tackles, 45 solo tackles, 19 tackles for a loss. Unbelievable season. After kind of being in Denver as sort of like a rotational guy, there was a lot of talented players in those from 15 to 18, he was a Denver Bronco for 4 seasons. He was kind of underutilized, and he was in a rotation of historically great players. That 15 Broncos defense will go down as one of the all-time great defenses in the history of the league. But he gets underutilized. He goes over to Tampa Bay, and he becomes and he absolutely explodes. They get JPP after that, and on the other side, and he loses a little bit, like a half step, but he was still a productive player. And I think the more time he spends in the system, the more productive he's going to get. He's my number 10 guy going into the 2021 NFL season.
That shocks me because I thought you were going to say, because of your Brady and Bucks bias, I thought you were going to say, oh, he's top 5 for sure. You got
top
me.
Top 5. Okay. If we were going off of the 2019 season, I'd have him in the top. I could make a case for top 3. But because this is coming off of 2020, he had his statistics dipped just a little bit, maybe. But I mean, I do have my Tampa Bay bias. Don't call me a bandwagon, but I'm a Brady fan. I appreciate players who help fortify Tom Brady's status as the greatest quarterback of all time, as if he needs any more. But I mean, it's nice to keep on piling it on.
That's nice. And
all right. Anyways, give me your number 9.
My number 9 guy is Chase Young, pass rusher from the Washington football team. They still don't have a name. They're just called that.
They're just called the football team.
Yeah, not the Redskins, not anymore. They're just a football team that's played in Washington, D.C. They want it to be so basic and so petty.
All right, tell me why you want Chase Young as number 9.
Number 9, off of his rookie season, he may not have had double-digit sacks, but he was pretty impressive. When he comes off the edge, you see it, and you see his potential. You see all the tools he has. I think he just needs to progress over time. He's young, and with all the things he had, he showed himself to be a young leader on that that Washington football team's defense. And this is a line that has Jonathan Adams and Daron Payne on it, and Ryan Kerrigan at one point, and he still showed off to be one of the better players on that front 7. Oh, man. When watching that team go, they were one of the better front 7s in the league. I think they were top 3 when they were all together and working as a cohesive unit. They were so good. In fact, they somehow managed to get the football team into the playoffs with a losing record. Only in the NFC East, though. Only in the
surprised
NFC.
You have them so low.
No.
I'm actually curious as to who you have ahead of him now.
But I think number 9 is a good spot. I think he will be number 1 sooner or later, but just not right now.
It was a good season for him, good start, but I think his best years are ahead of him. Anyways, my number 9 is Danielle Hunter.
9?
9, yes. And the reason I have Danielle Hunter as number 9 is so this guy was Mr. Consistency. For the past 2 years, he got 14 and a half sacks apiece in 2019 and 2018. He hardly had a 2020 season, but he racked up tackles in each of those past 2 seasons. The solo tackles were there. The tackles for loss were all there. Quarterback hits, you name it. This guy got it. And even before those 2 seasons, even before those 2 seasons, he was still a pretty good player. 7 sacks in 2017. 2016, he had 12 and a half sacks. So this is a guy who he got injured this past season, but he doesn't have that much of a history of injuries. I think he's going to come back healthy, and he's going to have a bounce back season. So I have him as my number 9 guy.
You are shocking me with your list. I have him higher. He's actually higher on.
You have him higher?
Yeah.
I thought it was a stretch having him in my top 10, to be honest.
When he's
Actually,
healthy,
he doesn't
he's
even have.
obviously
He has
top
no
5.
injury history. He never missed from 2019 to 2016. He never missed a game. He missed 2 games in 2015. That was it. So
When he's healthy, he's a top 5 pass rusher. When he's
he's a
healthy,
great pass rusher. Yeah,
right.
That's interesting. I don't know. I like Danielle Hunt just because he got hurt. I have him lower, but I would have him higher.
I think he'll bounce back and show you why he should be top 5. But enough of that.
Well, don't tell me you have him top 5. Give me your number 8.
My number 8 guy is Von Miller.
Wow.
Yeah, he's number 8 mainly because he's not only coming off injury and he hasn't played a whole year, and he's up there in age. Those are the main contributing factors as to why I have him lower as his previous rankings over the years. I believe he's in his 30s now, and he's just coming off an Achilles injury. So that's not very good when you're in your 30s and you're now just trying to rehabilitate off that injury. It could happen, but the likelihood of it isn't very high. And so I believe his production might take a dip, and I believe his overall athleticism won't be the same. So I believe he won't be the same type of guy he used to be. And so the Broncos might have to rely on Bradley Chubb even more so than they want to right now, because it was supposed to be Chubb and Von Miller coming off the edge and applying pressure to quarterbacks. But right now, I see him as number 8. Hopefully he does have another double-digit sack season, but it's not looking too good for him right now.
Yeah, I was contemplating putting Von Miller in my top 10, but because of what happened, because of the Achilles tear combined with his age, I just don't see him coming back from that and being the same player he was. Maybe he could be productive to some level, but not a top 10 pass rusher in this league. So
if he
it's
can still
unfortunate.
bend, I'm fine with him. If he can still bend off that leg, yeah, he'll be fine. But I'm not sure if he can.
Think about an Achilles injury. Players tend to not be the same after that.
Of course.
So those things are nasty. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty hard to come back from that. I don't see him as my number as anywhere in my top 10. But I'll give you my number 8. I have Chandler Jones as my number 8 guy in the National Football League going into the 2021 season. Chandler Jones, this guy, ever since he made the change from New England to Arizona, this guy has balled out, racking up sacks year after year after year. He felt underutilized in New England. He showed exactly why he was. He got paid, and then he got better, which is the best type of player, that type of player who's engaging, who has a love for the game, who doesn't just want to get paid, isn't just working for the money. He's working for the love of the game. And his statistics elevated. I'm sure he was a little bit underutilized, and I'm sure he did love his time in New England. But as a Patriots fan, if you love him, you got to let him go. And Chandler Jones has thrived since he was there. He had an injury-riddled 2020 season, which is why he's not any higher on my list. But this is a guy who's going to get healthy. And not to mention, he's only missed 1 game in the past 5 seasons. And that was actually 5 years ago since he last missed a game. So this guy, he's outside of this 1 season of injuries, he's never had he hasn't had injury issues since his days in New England earlier on, and that was only 1 season where he only played 8 games back in 2014. So this guy, Chandler Jones, I have him bouncing back again, another injury guy, but he's going to bounce back, and he's going to be in the top 10 going into the 2021 season.
He's not on my list.
He's not on your list.
He didn't make my list. No. Now I almost feel bad for not putting him on my list now. He's not on my list.
See? Did I convince you? Did I sell you?
This position is very, very hard to rank because
There's a lot of good guys out
Yeah,
there.
there's a lot of good ones, and they're so different. Oh man, we're at
I
number
was
7.
considering putting DeMarcus Lawrence in my top 10. I actually
No,
skipped out on him.
no, no. I like him, but no, I need more production out of him. You don't get.
Pro Football Focus put him as number 6
I
and
know,
above Chase Young.
I know. Still, I need more production out of him. I understand that he has more of a repertoire than most of the Cowboys on that team, but still, that doesn't mean much to me. That's not impressive. Give me
No,
double-digit sacks.
I agree. I didn't put him in my top 10.
Give me what I want. Give me what I paid you for. $20 million a year just to give me single-digit sacks? Nah. And a terrible defense to boot? Unacceptable.
Justin loves big sacks.
Oh, tell me about it.
Justin loves sacks. Justin loves defense, of course.
You're funny.
Anyways.
Number 7.
Anyways, our number 7 guy. Give me your number 7 guy.
My number 7 guy is Zadarius Smith. Outside linebacker from the Green Bay Packers.
Okay. Elaborate.
Former Raven, but underutilized because we had him at different spots. But once he got to the role of being a full-fledged pass rusher in Green Bay, oh my God, he was unbelievable his first 2 years there. Coming off his 2019 season and his 2020 season, yeah, he's played phenomenal for that team, and he's been reliably their best edge rusher or their sack guy since he's been there. And I thought he was going to be a good player for them, like an 8.5 to a 10.5 sack guy. Oh no, he's been outplaying my standards for him, and he played for us in Baltimore. I didn't think he was going to do all that, so I'm happy for him. Congratulations to him, and he's playing well. I think the only thing that's holding him back from being higher is just not only talent, it's just I don't think he's as far as he should be. I think he should have at least won a Super Bowl by now, but he got abused. Like the Packers got abused by the San Francisco 49ers, and they just lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think I'm somewhat holding that against him right now, which is why he's only number 7. But I think he'll be up there sooner or later. I have high hopes for him.
Okay. Interesting. Now I feel bad about not putting him on my list. To your point, is that there's a lot of them out there, and we leave some out, and it's kind of a vague term like pass rusher. I kind of put in like defensive end, so I've tried to stay mainly towards defensive end, but there's outside linebackers, so there's some interior guys. You wanted Aaron Donald to be included for this week. It's interesting. It's basically like anybody on the front 7 who can get sacks at this point. But
he's
without further ado, I have Chase Young at number 7 going into the 2021 season.
7.
So you said all of those things about Chase Young as your number 9 guy. All of that I agree. I think he's going to take a massive leap coming into the next season, and for that reason, I have him higher than you put him. Mm-hmm. And I think Chase Young, I only have him at 7 because we'll see how it pans out. Maybe he stays the same. If he stays the same, he might stay at number 7 or go lower.
He'll go lower if he stays at that. He'll be lower.
He had a productive season, but it feels like he's the type of player who should, given the hype that he had coming into the 2020 season, he needs to play better than he did. But I believe he will. One thing I also notice about him is, he seemed overly nice. And not to say that I don't like players who are nice. I love it. It's great. But do you think it might mean that he could be soft? Like, after saying he wanted Tom Brady, he was just, like, sucking up to him. Instead of, like, saying, like, instead of elaborating and saying, like giving, like, some playful trash talk, it was more like, no, I just want to play with Tom Brady. Which is all fine and good. It's cool. It's like, I'd love to play against Tom Brady. But, I mean, if you're a competitor, you're looking to win. You're not just looking to be like, oh, I'm just glad I'm having fun. I'm facing Tom Brady. We're out here. Go sports. It's different when you're out there. It's kind of like when you're playing defensive back, You got the Jalen Ramseys, the Marcus Peters of the world, who are just arrogant and just constantly going at people. Now we have Jalen Ramsey, who's an extreme, who's a jackass, and we had Jordan Ramsey, or not, Josh Norman, earlier on, years ago, who has a similar way. You know, you look at that and you wonder if that's going to be a problem. If he might be just soft, just too much of a nice guy.
I don't think so, because I think I'm okay with him open for the challenge. I don't want to be a guy that says, "Damn, we faced Brady. I'm afraid now." No, he wants to face the challenge. I'm all for that. That doesn't mean he's soft. It means he's open to the challenge and he wants to prove that he can beat him or be willing to take up the challenge. I respect that. That doesn't mean he's weak in my eyes. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't interpret it as weak. I think he's just open for the challenge. I think he wants that challenge of going up against arguably the greatest of all time and wanting to see where he stacks up against them. And he realized that it's not as easy as he thinks. I think that's all there is to it.
I sure hope so. I mean, you don't see it often with defensive players where they're just so nice like that. I was kind of shocked. I thought he would, when Chase Young elaborated on Tom Brady, on saying that he wanted Tom Brady, that he would just I thought he was going to trash talk, or like try to like get under Tom Brady's skin. And he was kind of just like, no, I just love Tom Brady. It's not something I expected. It was kind of like I wanted to see a little bit of an edge, a little bit something to look forward to, kind of just to be like, all right, Chase Young, let's see what you got. Let's see if you can get to Tom Brady. They're coming in at a record of 7-9 as the last. Well, actually, no, they hosted them, but they were still the underdogs nonetheless. At 7-9, and rookie kid, he's he's on the big stage. Let's see what he's got. And he was kind of like, yeah, I just hope we both have fun.
To be fair, they did give him the most competition. The Buccaneers saw that during that Super Bowl run. And that's crazy to me. They gave him that much competition. Like, it shouldn't have been close, but it was close. That I respect them for hanging in that long. I believe partly it was because Chris Godwin couldn't catch the way he should have. Hopefully he does better this year with, his catching. But at the same time, they showed me a lot in that game. They showed me they can hang, even though their record says otherwise, and that they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, sure. But if you look at that team or in that game, it really wasn't really the defense who kept him in the game. It was more so the offense. They kind of it felt like the Buccaneers defense didn't show up in that game, and it was more so it almost looked like a shootout at one point. There was that I'm blanking on his name, the quarterback, Taylor Heineke, who actually showed out and kind of made it a bit of a game, a little bit of a shootout for a lot of that game. Tom Brady had to throw. I think he threw for over 300 yards. He had a couple touchdown passes. Mm-hmm. That wasn't exactly a low scoring game like I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a rock fight where it's just not pretty, but the Buccaneers get out alive and they go in to face the Saints the next week. It wasn't. It was kind of a shootout, and I didn't expect it.
A bit off topic, but we do have high hopes.
We're getting off topic. Give me your number 6 guy.
My number 6 guy, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is my number 6 guy. Reason being, he's coming off an injury, and it's that cursed injury. I believe it's an Achilles injury too. I
thought it was an ACL.
You're right. It's one of those two. I just remember during the early part of the season, everybody was going down with like an ACL injury or an Achilles injury. So it was like, wow. Like Saquon went down, and then Nick Bosa went down, and then I believe it was Tyreek Armstead, but like a whole bunch of players out of nowhere just kept on going down with like ACL injuries. And so, a bit off topic, let me get to Nick Bosa. his rookie season was amazing. I believe he played a big reason as to why the San Francisco 49ers made it to the Super Bowl. And I believe he'll hopefully continue his success, even though it was a bit derailed by injury, into his third year into the league. Hopefully we can count his second year as a sophomore slump, and he'll be phenomenal in his third year and be a double-digit sack guy and help the 49ers go back to the playoffs this year. I believe if they weren't hampered by injuries, I believe they would make a push for the playoffs. But due to all the injuries they suffered during the season, they got screwed over basically of playoff hopes. And adding Nick Bosa back and all the key players that they missed over the season will do nothing but help them.
See, you have Nick Bosa as outside your top 5 for 2 reasons. You say that because he tore his ACL. Well, actually, it's only one reason, because he got hurt.
He got hurt.
So yeah. The reason, so it was an ACL tear. The reason I have him higher is because, number one, it was only an ACL tear. I know that's not something to be taken lightly, but players often come back, especially at his age. He's young, so it's possible to come back from. In fact, likely he'll come back and be his old self. And number two, it's only an ACL tear. Like, it's not, if it was an Achilles injury, that would be a different story. But an ACL tear, it's very often that players come back and they're able to produce still at a high level. I'm not trying to say that, it's not trying to undermine an ACL tear, but I mean, you often see players come back from it. Sometimes it takes longer. It takes longer for other players, for some players, but I fully believe that Nick Bosa is going to come back and he'll be at 100%, especially since it was so early on in that in the 2020 season. It wasn't at the end, so he's had more time to recover from it. I fully believe it's going to be all systems go for Nick Bosa. But anyways, my number 6 is actually the other Bosa brother, Joey Bosa.
Nick Bosa is over Joey.
What's that?
You put Nick Bosa
yes, I have Nick Bosa over Joey.
Explain.
Joey Bosa has kind of become a little, almost the forgotten man between the two Bosa brothers. One was drafted more recently. Nick Bosa he was drafted to a team. They hit the ground running. He was producing. He was one of the top players in that defense, and arguably the top player in that defense. And they skyrocketed. That team went to the Super Bowl. It was just unbelievable. It was everything you wanted as an NFL player for the start of your career. But Joey Bosa kind of becomes the forgotten brother, who was drafted years prior, and he's always put up numbers. Okay?
Yeah.
This is a guy who put up 7.5 sacks this past season. He put up 11 a couple seasons ago. He's put up steady numbers of sacks. He's always been able to get to the quarterback. He put up 31 quarterback hits in 2019 and 27 in 2020. So it doesn't always just show in the sack numbers, but he's able to do just about everything, from tackles to sacks to tackles for loss, quarterback hits, all of it. And all of that after just playing 12 games this past season. When he played 16, he was a lot more productive, but he's always been a productive player, and you can expect him. He's been consistent. You can expect him to put up the same numbers because he's just been so reliable over his career.
When he's healthy and can play all 16 games, he's a double-digit sack guy. If he's missing, he's reliable when healthy, is all I'm saying. I have him higher. He is a lot higher on my list than 6. But agree to disagree.
Okay. I think, I don't know. I have Joey Bosa as, I'd have him in the top 5, but I just have other guys who are better.
You put Nick Bosa over Joey. They're the same player. As a matter of fact, I want Joey over Nick because he's healthy.
Well, right. It was just an ACL tear. Well, like
he still missed the whole season.
I think I'm undermining it a little bit, but he's young. He's young. He's going to come back from it, and he did that all in his rookie year. It's the same thing that we said with Chase Young. It was early on in his career, and he was able to produce. So
but he's injured.
He could take that next step forward. I know he got injured. But players come back from injuries all the time, especially at his age. He's young. It was his second year of his career that he got hurt.
I'm not going to debate this because I have a player that just recently got injured, but I believe he'll bounce back, so I'll let it slide for now. So let's just continue on.
Okay, that works. All right, now we're gonna transition into our top 5. Here we go. We have our top 5 defensive ends in the entire NFL. So this is the best of the best, the top 5 defensive ends in the entire league. I think things are going to get interesting. We already have some solid debate going, so you are not going to miss this. Stay tuned. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast. All right, now without further ado, we have our top 5 defensive ends in the National Football League. So Justin, let's hit the ground running. Who's your number 5 defensive end in the entire league?
My number 5 guy is Danielle Hunter. Yeah, he made my top 5. He edged himself in there, mainly because when I see him, first off, he looks like a Madden player created. He's so long, so tall, and when he plays, he's like, oh my God. Especially when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's a 14.5 sack guy production type of player. And when I watch him, he's long, he's physical, he's aggressive, and he has different moves that he can use to get past defenders. I believe he'll be 100% again. I believe he'll be healthy, and I believe he'll be productive this year. Not too much to say because you already brushed up a little bit on him earlier in this episode, but yeah, I believe he'll be a top 5 player at his position this year.
Okay. So you have Danielle. The guy I have at number 9. So I have at number 5, I have Cameron Jordan from New Orleans.
Yeah. Oh,
no?
Boy. He didn't make my list.
He didn't even make. He's number 5 for me, Justin.
I understand. Right. I really I thought about putting him on my list. It's hard. This one was hard.
All right. Now this guy is someone who has been able ever since his days, ever since he came into the league in 2011, he has been the staple to that defense, especially in the front 7 for as long as he has been in the National Football League. This guy, he racks up sacks. He gets to the quarterback. Anytime there's any pivotal game, and that they wind up winning, it is, if the defense wins them that game, it is 100% Cameron Jordan who is in the middle of it. Even when it's a defense, even when it's just sort of an offensive shootout, you see him making plays. He is getting under the quarterback's skin. He's always getting to the quarterback, and you can also see it in the sack totals. In 2019, picking up 15.5 sacks. He hasn't missed a game in his entire career. In how many seasons? He from 2011 to 2020. Quick maths here. 10 seasons. In 10 seasons.
He's played 16 games. That's 160 plus games. Then you add
that's 160 games. So in 10 seasons, he's not missed a single game. So he has been reliable. He's putting up numbers, and he's making an impact in games. He's the reason that this defense for New Orleans in the past few years has been good. And honestly, they're going to need it with the retirement of Drew Brees and with the future of the New Orleans offense being so uncertain. They're going to need the defense to pick up the slack a little bit and try to bail out. They're going to need to bail out the offense in a few times. And I think Cameron Jordan is going to be right in the middle of it, just as he always is. He has never missed a game. That's huge. It's unbelievable. He's my number 5 guy, and it's not. And I say that with full confidence that he is up there.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a good.
And you left him off your list.
I left him off the list. That one upsets me. I should have put him on the list, but I'm like, this spot is way too good. He should have been on my list. I'll give you that. He should have been on my list. But enough crying over spilled milk. Let's get to number 4 here. My number 4 guy is Joey Bosa, ahead of his little brother, Nick Bosa. When he's healthy, he's reliable and he's consistent. When he's not healthy, you see a significant dip in that defense. When he's healthy, they're dominant. All parts of the defense looks good. When he plays all 16 games, he has a double-digit sack season. When he's not, you can still see his impact from the amount of games he has played. I believe this year he only played about 12 games, I believe, and he still had 7.5 sacks. That's pretty good. If he had 4 more games, I believe he could have had double digits in sacks because he's just that type of player. He may not give you everything you want as a pass rusher, but what he does is he's very technical, very sound, and can give you a myriad of pass rushing moves and is able to apply pressure to a quarterback, can give you a couple can give you tackles for loss, and I believe he's an all-around good player to have on your defense.
I have Nick Bosa at number 4.
It's just where we
have the Bosa brothers switched, but yeah. Nick Bosa, I've given you everything. I already explained earlier on before we transitioned into the top 5 when I was trying to justify putting Joey Bosa lower. Nick Bosa, he came in and he hit the ground. That yes, he got hurt, which is why he's not in the top 2 or 3. But this guy put up numbers, and he has throughout his he was able to lead that team to a Super Bowl, and it was mostly based on defense. That was a balanced team, but it was the defense that was the strong suit of that 49ers team. And coming back, they're going to need him. And he had, like I said earlier on, he's had plenty of time to recover. He's young. It's an ACL tear. It's not an Achilles tear. I think he's going to come back completely healthy. It's going to be all systems go, and he's even going to take a giant leap forward. He'll at least make some strides. I have him as the number 4 defensive end going into the 2021 season.
Not bad. It depends on where we rank the Bosa brothers. I think Joey's better than Nick. You think Nick is better than Joey. It's just a matter of opinion.
Yeah, I think Nick's better. I could be wrong, but we've already seen enough of Joey. Joey's been in the league for a few years. Nick Bosa hasn't been in the league for a very long time, and he's already made a strong impact in the league. How has Joey
take a giant leap over Joey?
Yeah, Joey Bosa hasn't led a team. Nick Bosa made the 49ers defense amazing. He made that defense great.
Wait a minute. Hold on. He was a part of that. He wasn't the main reason why they were like that. I believe he was a part of that. I believe DeForest Buckner took a step forward. I believe Fred Warner took a step forward. I believe the acquisition of Richard Sherman made them better. There were a myriad of reasons of why they went to the Super Bowl with that defense. But he's not the main reason why they were. I think it was just a collection of talent that became the San Francisco 49ers defense.
He was one of the biggest reasons. They drafted Nick Bosa, and they took that defense just took off. I know they made a lot of other acquisitions, but that Chargers defense has had a lot of pieces too with Joey Bosa on the team, and they
can't stay healthy.
Oh, that's a problem, isn't it?
That defense can't stay healthy. I love Derwin James. He can't stay healthy. It pisses me off too. When he's healthy, he's phenomenal. His rookie season was amazing. Couldn't stay healthy the past 2 seasons.
Anyways, give me your number 3 guy.
My number 3 guy is Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Okay. Elaborate for putting him so low.
Low?
Yeah.
He's higher on your list?
We'll see. We'll just have to see.
Well, for me, Khalil Mack, I love him at 3. My only problem is I can't put him higher than the other 2. It's like I don't know like how he can like surpass the other 2. Like if he had 20 sacks, then yeah, he would be my number 1. But it's like Chicago has like so many pieces surrounding him. Like he has to be double teamed, and he won't get the like one-on-ones he necessarily wants. But oh my God, I saw just when you think he's not at the level you think he is. All you have to do is look at the game against the Buccaneers. That man had 3 sacks against Tristan Wirfs. He made that future All-Pro right tackle look like a kid. He sacked Brady and then flipped Tristan Wirfs over and just said, "Little boy, get off of me."
With one arm, too.
With one arm. That is scary strength. He got Brady with one arm and then took his other arm and flipped Tristan Wirfs, who's not a skinny dude. Oh my, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was treating him like he was a kid. I was like, yeah, he still has it. He still has his abilities from Oakland and Chicago. He still's got it. And he's still been a major part of the reason why that defense is so successful in Chicago. And I wish him nothing but success. And I believe he'll still be a top 3 player at his position when it's all said and done. I just struggle to put him above the other 2 right now.
He's going to continue to have it for a couple of years. That guy is he's consistent, mm-hmm. and he does everything. Mm-hmm. He's got the strength. It's unbelievable. And like that one play there or that whole game is just it's the embodiment. That's one, like that game sums up his career right there, basically.
You saw when he got on top of Brady and just looked at him and Brady tried to shove him off. Like, oh my God.
It was that guy is an absolute beast.
And when he converts like speed into power, oh my God, it's devastating. He makes linemen buckle.
All those reasons are more reason to have him higher than number 3. Anyways, my number 3 is what's that?
I tried. And it hurts me that I can't put him higher. It's just the other 2, I can't deny their success right now.
So you don't have him higher than my number 3, Myles Garrett?
It hurts. It hurts, but he's higher than Khalil Mack right now. It hurts. I think the main reason is playoff success. I take what you have done in the playoffs into account, and like playoff success and how far your team goes. Yeah, so I do.
You were willing to do that with Myles Garrett, but not with Nick Bosa, who took a team to a Super Bowl?
Injuries.
It was one injury. It was a fluke injury. It's an ACL tear.
It's an injury nonetheless. But continue.
Okay. All right. Myles Garrett. So this is a guy who, as soon as he entered the league, he hit the ground running. He's been one of the best pass rushers in the entire league. And so this guy, his reputation has kind of taken a hit since he took a hit to a certain Steelers quarterback a couple of years ago. I'm referring to when he ripped Steelers backup quarterback Mason Rudolph's helmet off, and then went on to club him with it over the head. And now those things are pretty hard. and he just went as hard as he could right in his head. Anyways, he's been one of the best, and he's going to continue to be one of the best, and he's going to continue to get better. And especially with the way this defense is going, how it just continues to build and get better. Myles Garrett's going to be a benefactor from that because he's not going to have quite as much pressure on him, and it's going to be there's going to be a confidence thing to it where this defense is just so great. It's going to have a trickle down effect, and he's going to be able to play better because of all the positive energy around him from the defense being able to produce. I think this Browns defense their future is bright, especially in the 2021 season, and I think they're going to get better.
Oh man, I agree with you. It's just I'm struggling where to I'm still struggling in my mind as to where to put Myles Garrett right now. He's either 2 or 1, and I'm struggling with it because.
Well, who do you have at number 2? Give me your number 2.
He should be number 1 or number. It really doesn't matter to me. It's just preference. My number 2 guy is begrudgingly T.J. Watt. Begrudgingly, it's him. He's a Steelers. I don't like them. I don't like him, but he's a phenomenal player, and he arguably should have been Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I'm a strong component of Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald. You're lucky to even be in comparison with him to be Defensive Player of the Year, but he did have a strong argument as to why he should have been Defensive Player of the Year. He had one of the best seasons as a pass rusher. He came off, I believe, having a career high in sacks. I believe if he continues at the rate he's going, he will be the all-time leader in sacks for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the franchise leader at least. And so I believe he will have another shot at being Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he'll probably get it this year, if not the year after, because I believe he'll re-sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers and be a part of that defense for years to come. The only thing that's holding me back with TJ is that playoff run, that one and done, that rubbed me the wrong way. They gave up 28 points in the first quarter. I think that's what kills me. They gave up 28 points. I think the only saving grace is Big Ben turned the ball over like 4 times. I think that's what's saving it for me.
So it's interesting how you said playoff success meant a lot to you or played a factor into your top 5, but you have Myles Garrett behind, or no, you have Myles Garrett ahead of him, don't you?
Because they played against each other and
never mind, but still above Nick Bosa. I didn't have Nick Bosa that high either, but anyways.
You're putting way too much on Nick Bosa. That's fine, but again, it's just a matter of opinion.
Okay. TJ Watt at number 2. That's interesting. But my number 2 is Khalil Mack, who we talked about him earlier or a couple of minutes ago as your number 3. Like I said, everything you said about him is true, and this guy is a freak of nature. Mm-hmm. And that one game against the Buccaneers said it all. The future, who are going to go on to become Super Bowl champs, by the way, and beat the likes of pass rushers like Cameron Jordan, Chase Young, your Zadarius Smith, who you love. There was Frank Clark, who didn't make this list for either of us. That's an interesting one. You think he should have made the list?
Yeah, because if we are taking playoff success into it, he might be our 10 because he did win a Super Bowl and he did have a major part of that defense to why they won that Super Bowl.
He played a major part, but he's not better than Khalil Mack.
Of course not.
He's not better than most of these players on this list. You could make a case that he'd be in like the back end of the top 10, but
yeah,
I don't think he rounds out the top anywhere. I don't think he sniffs the top 5 anywhere. Anyways, Khalil Mack is like he manhandled Tom Brady. He manhandled that Buccaneers defense.
You mean offense?
What's that?
You said defense. You mean offense?
That Buccaneers offensive line, he manhandled those Tristan Wirfs. He literally with one arm just threw him into the ground while sacking Tom Brady with the other arm. Think about that for a second. These are NFL players. He's handling one, like Brady in one, Wirfs in another, and he's taking both of them down.
2 all-pro caliber players in both arms. He's doing that too.
Now Tom Brady doesn't say much, but he's still all-pro caliber, so it's not.
Yeah, you don't need to. Both of them are all-pro. His right tackle was second-team all-pro. Brady's a former all-pro player, which he'll probably get another one before he retires. But still, whoa, he's doing that with 2 hands, one for each.
They're still grown men too. And they're not just average grown men. Like Tristan Wirfs is a tank, and he just tossed him into the ground like it was nothing. And like Tom Brady, it doesn't say too much, but he's still a grown man.
Yeah.
And he did both of that. And the impact he's made on defenses, whether it's the Raiders defense or the Chicago Bears defense, especially ever since he's went to the Bears. That he's elevated those defenses in an unbelievable way, and especially those Raider defenses that were just kind of iffy at times. He was the reason why they were relevant on the defensive side of the ball. So he's just that type of impact player, where even on a spotty defense he can make a difference. So that means everything to me for a player to be able to make a difference on a team. I have Khalil Mack at number 2, and he's a reliable guy. I know I've been saying a lot about being able to rely on guys, but that's going to be huge going into this, especially in the NFL where players get hurt all the time. Khalil Mack is going to be a big guy for me, literally. Number 2 overall going into the 2021 NFL season, Mr. Khalil Mack.
He's a big guy for you?
Oh, he's big. He's a big man.
Almost the biggest, but not quite the biggest. Our number 1 guy. Well, my number 1 guy is obviously Myles Garrett. I was debating between him and TJ Watt, but I don't know why. I just have a bad memory of the playoff game between the Browns and the Steelers. And he just edged him out. And I believe he had a phenomenal season last year. I believe it was 12 sacks. What gives it to me when it comes to Myles Garrett, his bend is otherworldly. He can get sideways so quickly, and it's so weird because he's so big and strong. You're not used to a guy that can bend like that, damn near sideways to the ground even. So when I see him, it's like I really hate the fact that he's in the AFC North. I respect him. I love to see him play, just not against my team, which is a great sign of respect that you have for a player. And I believe he'll continue the success. And I do think he'll be a dark horse for Defensive Player of the Year because of all the players they added to the Cleveland Browns defense, like Jadeveon Clowney, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Greg Newsome. Like they added some pieces to that defense to make them even better than they were last year. And that will be a main reason why, if they do make the playoffs, that defense will be the reason they do. And Myles Garrett will be a main reason of that.
And that defense keeps on looking better and better as they go. They have studs all over the place, and they just continue to get better. It's the reason they make playoffs. It's definitely going to be the defense. Their offense is good, but it's going to take the defense. It's not going to be Baker Mayfield, as average as he is of a quarterback.
He's good enough to take them to the playoffs. I believe if you
not take them,
run the offense,
he could be a productive piece. He could be serviceable. I don't think he could take a team to the playoffs. I think it takes a defense. It takes an Odell Beckham Jr. and a Jarvis Landry. It takes 2 very good running backs. It takes a good offensive line to support.
How much talent they have on that team.
I know they do. But anyways, we're getting off topic. My number 1 My top defensive end going into the 2021 season is TJ Watt. TJ Watt, the Steeler, who, like you said, he's going to end up being a Steeler for years to come. This guy was snubbed of an all-pro selection. He recorded 15 sacks, and he continues to look better. He is just like his brother back in the earlier days, back in the 2020 earlier in the 2010s, when he was recording sacks, when people were putting him as a possible MVP candidate. This guy continues to get better. Greatness seems to run in the Watt family, and it continues. TJ Watt continues to make the Watt family proud and to give them a great reputation that they have. It also just feels so right that one of the best rushers in the game is a Steeler. I know you're a Ravens fan, but just think about it that when you think about the Steelers, especially over their existence, you think defense. You think about what's his Mean Joe
Green. Mean Joe Green.
Mean Joe Green. You think about those players.
I think about Troy Polamalu. I think about James Harrison. I think about Casey Hampton, Brett Kiesel. I think about Ike Taylor, even him. Yeah.
And now we have TJ Watt as the best rush edge. I have him. You have Myles Garrett, but this guy is going to continue to be great for years to come. The best is yet to come with this guy. He is going to continue to get better. He has the energy. You see him getting all amped every time he gets a sack, and he's going to be great. He's just like his brother, and it's just reminiscent of him. It's gonna be incredible.
2 of the top 3 pass rushers are in the AFC North.
And you have your Lamar Jackson, who has to
face each of them twice a year. But we have Ronnie Stanley, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you have at least something, but you don't have who's the guy that we lost in
Zeus. Orlando Brown went to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'm fine with it. We got Alejandro Villanueva, who can fill in that right tackle spot just fine.
All right. Well, anyways, this is the end of our player rankings as far as defensive as far as defenses go. We have from here on out, we're gonna have it's gonna be all offense. We're gonna start with tight ends next week. After that, it's going to be running backs, then wide receivers. Then we'll finish our player rankings with quarterbacks. That'll be our finale. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be all offense coming up here. I mean, chicks dig offense. Yeah. Just saying. So this is gonna be a fun time. A lot of stuff to look forward to. But anyways, without further ado, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify and Google Play. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.
Bye-bye.